Hello, adventure buddies. Today we have taken a field trip to my very humble kitchen. I wanted to talk to you about the apocalypse, preparing for the apocalypse, or just off grid storage, or even just dry good storage if you're just in your regular house. Um, I will not be, if you're new with me, I am not an editor. I'm not coming here to offer perfection. I am not a professional videographer. So what you see is what you get. With me, it's going to be real, just my real life. And that's what I have to offer you. And so if you prefer the razzle dazzly things, you won't find that here. So I hope that my viewers will appreciate just real life. Okay, so that's what I'm going to give you. So my initial idea for this video, or last idea, I don't know if that's the word I'm looking for, but last week I just ended up, I had a box of like au gratin potatoes, and I threw them into the crock pot with uh some different things that I'm going to show you, right? I threw them in the crock pot with a couple different things and broke up some bacon, turkey bacon that I had in the freezer, added a bunch of water and some broth, and it was potato soup. And I was like, I should make a video about this because I started preparing for homesteading, kind of off grid living, or several years ago, as if you've been following along, prior to moving to Tennessee. So when I lived in Nevada, I would go to Winco and I would buy a lot of my items in bulk. And I love doing that, first of all. And by bulk, if you're not familiar with Winco, they have just these big containers. And I know there are other stores that have them. I think Sprouts has some. I think Whole Foods has some, but not to the degree that Winco has. And so that became a primary source for me to be able to stock up on dry goods. And I could purchase large amounts of dry goods at a very reasonable price. So I'm going to talk to you a little bit about that today, because as I move forward on my journey to finding my oasis, this is a big deal for me, and I'm wanting to go back to an area where I can access, even if it takes me a couple hours, the Winco store, because it was such an asset to me. I'm going to tell you my favorite thing that I was buying at Winco was their brown gravy. It's so good, and I would actually keep it in a very large container. Now, I did get, so this is chicken bouillon. I've had this for 3 years or more, 4 maybe, because I've lived in Tennessee for almost 3 years, and I may even still have another bag, or this is the last of it. I put it in these little containers, which I really like to do. And as I prepare to move, again, these are way better than glass, but glass is ideally what I want to be using. I just don't want to move with glass. So anyways, these containers have like the seal around them. And so this has stayed good for all that time. Some of the items that have not stayed good are items that had nuts in them. Walnuts, almonds, things like that have not stayed very good. So they have chicken gravy, this kind of chicken bouillon, um, and a whole bunch of other different things that I'm going to be sharing with you today. But the potato soup that I made with the au gratin potatoes, I had purchased the box of au gratin potatoes from Publix. If you watched my video from yesterday, the Hot Mess Express video, I was on my way to Publix and I was talking to you a little bit about um their buy one get one free sales. And so I won't be doing that anymore. And I had actually planned on saving the box to be able to show you for like a whole video on that. And then I was like, wait, I have so much more that I would love to share with you and even potentially give you some ideas if that's possible. So there are several items that I do not have up here that I do have, but they are in my pantry area in a bag because I don't use them frequently. So I'll tell you a little bit more about that. So I'm gonna bring you a little bit closer. Now for me, even while I was living here in Tennessee, my not sure what happened, but my freezer got left open and I lost a whole bunch of prepared vegetables that I had in there. And I had made a bunch of soup broth and different things like that that I had to throw out. And so that's when a lot of these items started coming in really handy too in that at that time frame, because my storage items, frozen items, were no longer available to me. And so it became even more valuable to acknowledge the how beneficial this choice is for me, and as I get ready to move forward, how valuable this is. So I will be adding more to this before I move, but this will be moving with me also because obviously I can't use all this stuff, but I'm adding to it as I go. And just being able to have the dry good options. So in the video yesterday, I had mentioned, I think I was talking about the protein waffles and that I can just scoop out. I think I said something like being able to scoop it out. What I meant to say was being able to scoop one scoop or two as needed rather than whatever I said, which kind of insinuated like just scoop some and do whatever with it. I don't know. Again, we're not here for perfection, and I assume anybody watching has common sense, maybe more than me. So I hope that you understood what I was saying. But if not, what I was saying was in small amounts, or just to make one waffle with rather than opening a whole container. So a good example of that is the blueberry muffin mix and like I said, these containers or this mix came from Winco. And I've had this mix. I mean, I still have a ton of it. I bought a lot of this mix just because I really like their blueberry waffles or pancakes, or they can be used for muffins also. They're actually probably labeled as muffins, but they're great as waffles. So I have a waffle maker that I love to use, and I will have to figure that out. If I don't have, we'll see what happens with that. But anyway, even if I was to put my flat top pan on my fireplace or whatever and be able to make waffles that way in the wintertime or whatever, this is amazing. But I can also use it for making muffins, adding to it. I like to add oatmeal and make do a mixture of oatmeal, something like this, and then bake it. And just as like a quick snack, I can keep it in the fridge or you freeze it and heat it up or whatever. So there's a lot of different things that I can do with this and with oatmeal. So I bought this oatmeal years ago, like 3 years ago. I just put a hole in it, so the bag is wearing out. It was a huge bag. It was really big when I initially bought it, and I have used it for different things, protein balls and different things like that. And so awesome. The other thing I love to use this oatmeal for, because it's just plain oatmeal, is when I make my dog's bone broth soup, or usually it's bone broth, and I'll add some veggies, not dried veggies, but frozen veggies to it. And then I've learned to start adding this, because as it sits, it makes it really creamy and good. And they both of my dogs have a lot of sensitivities to food. We've really struggled with finding food, especially since we've been in Tennessee, that doesn't cause them to itch, doesn't cause them discomfort or stomach upset or gas or things like that. So the bone broth with some oatmeal in it seems to do really, really well for them, and they really like it. So lots of uses for oatmeal, but I can also get the buy one get one boxes, and I'm not affiliated. I think I said this in the beginning. There's no affiliation. Nobody's sponsoring anything. I'm just showing you what I purchase, what I use, and what I do with it. Okay. I can get these buy one get one free. Normally these are pretty expensive. They're about $5 a box. And that is what's it called? Publix offers the buy one get one sales. And so getting the different kinds of these, right? Under those sales, the apple cinnamon, this one is the banana nut, and I can add other things to this or whatever. But I'm going to be getting more of these because they have protein in them. They have 20 grams of protein per serving, which I love because I am not a big meat eater. So if I can get it this way, I like to do that. Winco does have a protein waffle mix or protein pancake mix that you can buy in bulk if you wanted to. And so since I don't have that available to me, I love getting this and their protein waffle pancake mixes, which also go on sale for buy one get one. So for me, it's a really good deal, especially when I ran out of the protein waffle mix. I think I ran out of it. Yes. And so even for camping purposes, so I camp a lot, and if you have listened to my stuff before, you know that. But I always take these camping, and these, I think I got these at the dollar store, and it's just to add water. And so these are fantastic for just having just in case. These are not protein or whatever like that, but they're super easy to pack along. So I love those, as well as any packet things like the grits. Whoa, the grits option for these. I have to keep them in a bag when I take them, but these are just really great to have as a dry food option, and I can do a lot with them. So on that, like with those, I can make, let me see, did I pull it out? I thought I did. Oh, they make a, let me think, gumbo or jambalaya in the soup mix. These are just add water. Throw them in a pot, add water, cooks in 15 minutes. This is an awesome dry food option to have. And with the grits, if you do the jambalaya one, even if you don't have any meat or anything to put in them, sausages or anything like that, they're really good together and they make a full hearty meal. They have all the things in them. I don't buy these all the time, but to have it available if needed to throw in a pot, if we were to lose power or anything like that, having these available to I can cook. Well, I have a propane um little burner that I can use if we lose power. We just, again, if you watch my last video, we just had a huge storm here, and even when I lived in South Carolina, we had a hurricane situation come through. I think it was 2015, 2016. It was a storm that came through, and where I was living in South Carolina, the power would go down for days at a time, and I ended up having to make something with candles because I was not prepared. And so I had a little grill top thing that I put on top of over two candles, what I had available to me, which were two glass candles that were like the Yankee candles. And I made soup out of them with a pot. So these things are good to have on hand. Um, in situations like that, there's a lot that you can do with that, and having candles and having a grill top of some sort. Mine was freestanding. It was actually like a bathroom behind the sink thing. It was all I had, and I had been without power for days. We were flooded, and the water came up to my knees or higher, and I couldn't get out of my driveway at all. So I had to come up with something to be able to use, and of course my stove was electric. So I used what I had available to me to be able to feed us, right? For when that happened. So it's not just being prepared off grid or being, like I said, the apocalypse. It depends on what your situation is, but it felt apocalyptic, right? When you're without power or whatever. I'll show you a grill option that I think I still have one. So something like this. I know that there's probably another name for it, drying rack, I don't know, but this could easily go on top of candles if that's all you have. Always have candles, is what I learned from that. Always have candles that could support something like this, or something that can be used in the event that you need to be able to cook. Not anything like grilled meat because that could start a fire, but with a small pot or pan or something like that. And I do get like, this is my smallest one and it is small. But for one person or whatever, it's perfect, and one candle could light this. I could brown, some what is it, bacon in this while I start preparing the other soup in a larger one. Or so these are super handy. I love it. I think this is probably Pioneer Woman. It is. And I got these at Walmart. Absolutely love them because they're good for vegetables and things like that. But the fact that they have no Teflon or anything like that, I love. So these, and if I needed to, I could use these over a campfire. I can use them on a stove. I can use them on a fireplace or whatever. Although having something with a thicker bottom might be ideal. Um, this is typically my soup pot. This is a David and Burke, but it has a thicker bottom on it. And I have used this over, like, taken it camping with me and used it directly over the fire. You can kind of see the stain still, but it cleaned up really nicely. Even when I had to use it outside, it's got still a little bit of tarnishing. But I'm pretty sure I got this at TJ Maxx or something like that, and I love it. Absolutely love it. So I recommend something like that, and that would fit perfectly over a candle on a burner if you ran that kind of situation, right? Okay, so let me put these back real quick. I've also seen people use muffin tins, and honestly, that had little leg things on it, and so a muffin tin could probably slide right under there where you could use like tea light candles. Okay, so um, so some of the other things, um, so this one is also from Winco. This is a gluten-free baking mix. It has everything you need to do different things with it. And I don't have it labeled, but at Winco they have labels that you can I don't know if you can pick them up and take them. I think you could take a picture of them and write down the directions and be able to stick it right in there in a plastic bag, like a little sandwich bag. You can put it in there. I just look it up if I need to use it. How much do I need or whatever. So, anyway, this is ideally how I would like to store it, in the glass jar. And that's how, after I move, everything will be stored in glass for the most part. Um, I found this is the pre-cooked white cornmeal. I'm not sure how different this is from masa, but I do know from looking up some of the recipes that I was looking at, I can make things like tamales, but so this would be more of a Colombian style, or they would make the Colombian style. I think they're called arepas, which are Colombian style, kind of like tamales. They make them a little bit different, but same kind of similar. They do theirs the uncooked meat. And so if you're not familiar, just go and look that up. Anyway, all to say, this corn meal was on sale. It was 2 for $4. And so I got 4 of them. Yes, 4 of them. So I filled up my storage. This is 2 of them. And then I bought 2 extra. And what I did with that, as you can see, is just cut that off. And then I put the back side, what I need to make it. Oh, shoot, sorry. What I need to reconstitute it or whatever, I just put it on the back side. So I have the directions available there in my airtight container. And these containers really are great. So they've been great. They don't break easily. I've used them this used to have angel hair pasta in it before it had this stuff in there. So they are long lasting and they're really good. I don't remember where I got them, but again, just like the others, it has that seal around them and then it locks in place, right? With these little things, and there's 4 of those around the edges. So I love these. And I don't know. Again, I don't remember where I got them, but they are really nice. Okay, the other containers that I have, so I'm not 100% gluten free, but I try to find, if I'm going to get certain items, flour and things like that, that that are like a wheat flour or made with those products. I try to get them from places like TJ Maxx, Good. What is that? I can't think of that store, but it'll come to me. I might have a bag of something from there. I do. Anyway, because they sell macaroni products and flour and things like that that are from other countries that do not allow certain pesticides on the food. Oftentimes, it's not the gluten that causes some of us issues. it's the pesticides that were used on the foods that are not allowed in other countries, but they have still been allowed here. Hopefully, up until recently, we're going to be making changes with that, right? So, I do use pastas and I eat some bread and things like that. But like I said, like these noodles are from Italy. Excuse me, where they don't allow certain pesticides. Okay, so these are like the buckwheat noodles I got there, and oh, it doesn't have the store name on them. These are made with buckwheat flour and rice flour, and I got these for $4, and they have 8 grams of protein per cake of noodles. They're fine. I can use them for a couple different things, but I love ramen. I love ramen noodle soup, and but it doesn't do so well with me. The noodles that they use for ramen doesn't do great for me. I still eat them sometimes because I really like them, but this might be a better option. So, like I was saying, you can find options like that at places like TJ Maxx and stores like that. Trying to remember the name of the store where I found a lot of good items at that store. So hopefully it'll come to me. Let me see if it's on this other page. Nope. Okay, so this is another one that I found. These noodles, not sealed. Pretty sure they're as stale as they're ever gonna get. Because they're dried. So I didn't worry about that. But it says right here that they're a product of Italy, which for me does not bother me if they have gluten, but also they're egg noodles. Now, or egg taggle, like tell or whatever it is. So whatever that is, and I know it's probably backwards to you. It looks backwards in the camera. But those last forever, even without being in a bag. And normally I would keep them in a bag, but all of my containers are filled. So don't have it. But those are another good thing just to have on hand. And when I do fully intend on starting to make my own noodles, when I move forward, egg noodles. I will be making my own egg noodles. Yes. The other thing I found, I'm trying to be really mindful about my sugar use, and I don't know anything about the brand or whatever. I got this at TJ Maxx. This was $6.99 for 16 ounces. This should last me forever because I don't add a lot of sugar to anything. But date sugar is supposed to be significantly more healthy than other maybe sugar options. And so this is one that I wanted to have in my little proverbial arsenal of apocalypse foods. And then things like collagen peptides. I have bought from this company a couple times before, and when I was mentioning the dog's food that I made, I also used some of this for to add to their food just to help with the it is marine collagen, and so I made them like a soup that used fish, cod, and oatmeal and veggies soup. And I added this to it, and I added organic kelp marine supplement, which is for healthy thyroid function. It helps reduce dental plaque and it promotes healthy and happy fur. And so I added that to it, yes. The other things, I was able to get noodles like this in bulk. These are for like lasagna soup. And this was a Winco, one of the Winco bags. I'm almost at the end of this. So I'll probably make it once or twice more before I'm out of it. But this has lasted me for years. So now the other thing, so I told you about the chicken bouillon. They also have falafel mix. If you are not familiar with falafel, you'll have to look it up, but it is a vegetable based, you can make little patties out of it and eat it. It's like Mediterranean food. And a lot of their food is just veggie based. But anyway, you mix it up, and I think probably just with water, and mix it up, and then you can fry it, either flat pieces of it, or you can do like little nuggets. You can eat it just like that. It gets really nice and crispy. You can add more veggies to it, things like carrots or all different things to it, but it's got protein in it. So it's a good way to be able to get protein without having, if you just needed dry goods to be able to have on hand just in case. So I definitely recommend doing something like this too. And the falafel, I think, is really good, like dipped in. You could dip it in ranch. You could dip it in the tzatziki, which is normally what it would go with. Tzatziki sauce, which is like if you don't know, cucumber, dill, I think, and yogurt sauce, and then yeah, so it's a really good, clean, fresh dip, and then you would eat it in a like pita bread that they have. I can't think of what it's called. Um, their style of bread, pan bread, basically for the Mediterranean style pan bread. So or a gyro, hero, however you want to call it, right? Because we all have different ways to say it. But you would eat it typically like that. But it is just really good as a snack. It's good to have on hand. Yum. So, and you can do a couple different things with it, I think. So, anyways, they also have dry hummus, and I have some of that in my other storage container. Um, and it's just add water. Dried hummus, just add water. If you don't know, it's made out of chickpeas, which also has protein in it. But add water, mix it up. You can add lemon juice to it. You want to have some good olive oil to go with it, and then you can use it as a dip if you're if you're not familiar. So that. All right. So I started to I don't eat a lot of cheese. Dried cheese I can do a little bit of, and I also have to I use dairy free. I cannot have dairy. I cannot have a lot of dairy. And so, but I started doing this, and this does have milk and wheat in it, but it doesn't seem to bother me so much in the dried packs. Anyway, whether it bothers you or not, having cheese like this available to you, and then with noodles, large store noodles, then you can make your own macaroni and cheese without having the box stuff. So this is really good to have on hand. There's also the classic mac and cheese. I got this at grocery outlet. And so I don't know, you can take a screenshot if that's something you want to look into. I don't know where else you can get it. This one's just the classic mac and cheese, and then this one is white cheddar truffle. So I don't use a ton of it because, in my opinion, it is a little bit salty. It says sodium is 740 milligrams. And so I add a tiny bit of it to some different things. Like I did a dried noodle packet that came something like what is it, McCormick, or I don't know. Anyway, the dried noodle packets, and I used a spoonful of that in that packet because it was just like a butter and herb one or something like that. So I just added that in there, and then some zucchini noodles that were like, thin zucchini noodles, and maybe some ribbon carrots or ribbon and the squash noodles, and baked it all like that, and it was super good. Like, oh, hit the spot good. It was really good. All right, so let me put some of this away, and I'll tell you about. All right, so the other thing that I was able to get at Winco, and even if it's not at Winco, are lentils. The black lentils add a really good beefy flavor, like that you could use if you did not have actual beef. They have protein in them, but they also would be really good with like a beefless stew, or with carrots, potatoes, things like that in a soup if you did not have meat, or if you are vegan or vegetarian. Getting this in bulk, I mean, you might use a tablespoon or two to add to there depending on what you're doing with it in a soup or something like that. But it does add the black ones add a really good beefy flavor to it. And so these are good for that. And then I also have red ones somewhere. I may have used all of them. They have red, yellow. The lighter ones are going to be more light. They taste a little bit more like poultry, something like that, like the lighter flavor. So, and this has that in them, the soup mix. This was not, I don't know if this was a Winco buy, but it's an all natural soup mix, maybe 5 bean or something like that. It's by Love and Body. All natural soup mix 5 blend is made from quality blend ingredients. And so if that's something you're interested in getting for your dry good mix. But a little bit of this goes a long way. It has pearl barley, green split peas, yellow split peas, green lentils, and red lentils. And there's no artificial colors, flavors, nothing. Does contain gluten. And it's made in Australia. So I think that they have also pretty good regulations when it comes to their food. And so I don't mind eating this. It doesn't bother me. But anyway, it's got the instructions there. This stuff a little bit goes a long way, but I can do a lot of different things with it. And so there have been days where I just didn't feel well, and I would use about 1/4 a cup of this. I have no idea, 8 servings per container, serving size 1/2 cup. It says for each 50 grams of soup mix blend, add 150 milliliters of water. I know that I added about 1/4 of a cup or 1/2 a cup of this with a little bit of the chicken bouillon and some of this is their soup base mix, also from Winco. And I'm going to talk to you a little bit about this in a minute. But I did this soup base mix and the chicken bouillon, and that made a great soup. It was quick. I put it in the crock pot, so this is something that you can, if you only had a fireplace, stove, whatever available to you, or even if you were just sick, not feeling well, didn't have power, again, that you could just put in a pot with water, simmer it for however long these directions say on the one that needs to cook longer, right? And you've got an easy, quick soup that will work fine. So that. Now, I did grab some other soup bases. This is one that I found at Publix that I think was buy one, get one. And so there's this one, which is a miso cup instant soup, savory with seaweed. And this is a good just broth to sip on if you're craving a broth. But they also have a veggie one too. And they come in the 2 serving packages. So there's 4 double serving packets in here. And these are pretty good. They add good flavor, and I think miso soup is also a probiotic. So this is just a good thing to have in your arsenal for apocalypse things. Of course, things like tuna, and I do have cans of tuna, but I love these packets because they're lightweight. The canned tuna is a little bit heavier, especially if you have like 4 or 5 cans. Now, granted, I think there's probably more drained 4-ounce cans, 4 to 5 ounce, where these are 2.5 ounce, but they have no liquid in them. So I don't know how much liquid you would drain off. It says 4 whatever ounces, but I love these because they're lightweight. I can do a lot of different things with them, and if they're buy one get one, that makes them like 50 cents each, so they're really cost effective, but they stay good for a really long time. So I love to have these with me. I also have the other lentils. These are green lentils. You can do a lot with lentils. I really love them. They're very much like beans. I don't do a lot with dried beans. I get canned beans. That will be one thing that I will continue to buy canned for all time. Canned beans, because I always mess them up. So it's something I'll have to play with later, but today is not that day. The other thing is the peanut butter. The powdered peanut butter. Now, at Winco, you can get your peanut butter. They have like a station where you could just make peanut butter there. If they have fresh almonds, fresh peanuts, or whatever, you just scoop them in and it butters them for you, whatever. But I like the idea of having the powdered form because I can do a lot with that. I can mix that with a couple different things. Like I got a brownie mix, and I can mix it with the brownie mix. Okay, so things like that to make goodies. All right, so really quick, very last, because I'm hoping this doesn't shut off on me. With this soup mix, I believe it's dried onion, dried carrot, and parsley. I got it at Winco, and you can really see the parsley on that side. I got it at Winco. Now, I used the box of, like I was telling you, I used the box of whatever that stuff is called, the au gratin potatoes, but you could use these kind of potatoes, which are dried hash browns. Got them at Winco, and you could use these in place of those potatoes, and you can use a little bit of chicken bouillon. So this is how I made my soup the other day. Potatoes, chicken bouillon, a couple scoops, 1 or 2 scoops of that if you wanted it to be a little bit cheesy, and then 2 tablespoons of something like this soup base mix that has carrots in it. And then I did not add any fresh anything to it. I added some sprinkle of celery seeds to it. That's what I had on hand. So I hope that gives you some good ideas. If you have some good ideas too, let me know in the comments. If we need to do a part 2 of this, we totally can. Or if you guys want to have any more discussions about it. But that's kind of my idea for it. So, and what I do with dry goods and will be doing moving forward. So, Thank you so much for being here, for coming to hang out with me for our field trip today, our apocalypse field trip. Um, and I will see you next time.